Good evening and thank you for joining us. The government has announced advanced estimates for the city's economic growth. The government estimates Hong Kong's GDP growth for 2023 is 3.2%. Musin reports.
The Census and Statistics Department said the city's GDP is likely to increase by 3.2% in real terms in 2023, which will align with the forecast of analysts. The department also expects a 4.3% year-on-year increase in the fourth quarter of last year. The government said inbound tourism and private consumption will be the main contributors to such an economic rebound. However, an academic said authorities should seek to help boost the city's property and stock market, which remain relatively weak.
The real-term GDP is not bad, but many people still feel unhappy because property market is bad, stock market is bad. And so it is quite important, I would say it's important, not quite important, that government should try to help to bring the property market back to the normal.
Zhang, however, said the outlook for the city's economy is positive, citing the government's efforts to attract talent to the SAR.
Everybody knows that this year, even the U.S. is going to reduce the interest rate. And once they reduce the interest rate, all kinds of things, investment will increase. And then that will be good for Hong Kong. That's why I say that outlook is good. And also that now Hong Kong government is trying very hard, try to bring in extra talent and also bring in extra investment, especially all those high-tech investment. So with this high-tech investment and extra talent, we will help economies improve also.
Revised figures for the city's GDP plus more detailed statistics for the fourth quarter and the whole of 2023, in addition to the real GDP growth forecast for 2024, will be released on February 28th. News 9 TVB News.
With a decline in property prices, the number of residential mortgage loans in negative equity hit a new high in 19 years. According to Hong Kong Monetary Authority figures, negative equity cases rose to over 25,000 at the end of December last year. That's more than double the number, around 11,000 from September 2023. The aggregate value of loans in negative equity also more than doubled to $131 billion. These cases were mainly related to bank staff housing loans or loans under the mortgage insurance program, which generally have a higher loan-to-value ratio. Meanwhile, Shenzhen's GDP increased by 6% year-on-year in 2023. The city's total retail sales of consumer goods reached above 1 trillion yuan for the first time. Shenzhen Mayor Qin Weizhong noted in a work report that the city's GDP reached 3.4 trillion yuan. Its economic growth rate of 6% year-on-year surpassed that of Beijing, Shanghai, and Guangzhou. This as municipal authorities said Hong Kong tourists visiting Shenzhen played a role in boosting the local economy. Following complaints that numerous Cathay Pacific flights were cancelled during the Christmas season, the airline is planning to distribute a special holiday allowance to flight crew members during the Lunar New Year holidays in a bid to retain manpower. The measure could be expanded to other peak seasons in future. Timothy Lee tells us more.
Cathay Pacific has been struggling with manpower issues, having cancelled numerous flights last month owing to a lack of on-duty pilots. In a preliminary report submitted by the city's flagship carrier to the Civil Aviation Department, Cathay said it underestimated the impact of peak flu season and its effects on pilots. Cathay is now planning to roll out a new measure to maintain sufficient manpower during the Chinese New Year holiday season by distributing a special allowance to on-duty flight crew. Sources said pilots will receive an extra 15 to 30% allowance to their hourly pay between the 7th and 18th of February. That means they will receive $220 per hour more, rising to a maximum of around $900 per hour. Some pilots could earn an allowance of up to $10,000 during the period. Cabin crew members can receive $400 extra in allowance per flight. An aviation staff union said the airline could be using the allowance to persuade employees to cancel their holidays.
I'm sure the pilots that get it will appreciate it, but it's not solving their problem. It's not solving the shortage of manpower. Pilot salaries around the world have gone up. Cathay's been going down. I think that they should sit down with the association, the pilots' representatives, and agree a new package, something that makes the pilot job more attractive at Cathay Pacific.
In an internal communication, Cathay Pacific CEO Ronald Lam admitted the recent flight cuts have negatively impacted the airline's image and caused significant damage to its brand. He said the airline will learn from the lessons. Timothy Lee, TVB News.
In media tycoon Jimmy Lai's national security trial, the defendant's lawyer continued to cross-examine accomplice witness and ex-Next Digital CEO Chen Kim-hong. Chen reviewed how Apple Daily tried to minimize legal risks by avoiding sensitive terms after the national security law took effect. The prosecution also questioned if Chen was trying to receive a lighter sentence, as he denied having editorial responsibility. Day 20 of Jimmy Lai's national security trial at West Kowloon Law Courts, as accomplice witness Chen Kim-hong was cross-examined by the defendant's lawyer Robert Pang. Kickstarting the trial was a video taken during Apple Daily's 25th anniversary in June 2020. Addressing his staff, Jimmy Lai said Apple Daily continued to face challenges with the implementation of the national security law. He said he would not instruct staff members on how they should carry out their work, and it's their own doing that Apple Daily reached such a state. His staff laughed. Chung said Lai appeared to be joking at the time, but stressed the newspaper was operated under Lai's instructions. Presented next were multiple WhatsApp chat groups involving Apple Daily's management, but not Lai. Shortly after the security law was passed on June 30th, 2020, one group mentioned an advertisement bearing the slogan "Liberate Hong Kong, Revolution of Our Time." On that, Chung was seen taking views from former associate publisher Chan Pui-man, the advertising department, and the in-house legal counsel. The slogan was later altered. Chung also confirmed the management expressed worries over Benny Tai's article on 10 steps to mutual destruction, which was later removed from the paper's website. Apple Daily also no longer used the term Wuhan pneumonia when reporting the COVID pandemic. When asked if Lai's absence meant such editorial decisions were made by editors, Chung said Lai was the boss all along. The defense counsel moved on to question Chung over his editorial role. This as Chung claimed to be not responsible for setting editorial policies in his affidavit, the sworn statement submitted to the High Court when applying for bail. As Chung admitted to have helped communicate the policies, the lawyer asked if the court testimony runs contrary to the affidavit. Chung disagreed, stressing he did not formulate the policies, but merely conveyed the instructions. Defense lawyer Robert Pang said it's impossible to have everything over the alleged inconsistency in Chung's affidavit covered within a few minutes' time, and asked for this part of argument to be continued tomorrow. With that, the court has adjourned the hearing until 2:30 p.m. Thursday. And before being escorted away, Jimmy Lai was seen once again waving goodbye and blowing a kiss to his wife, son, and daughter listening in the court. Welcome back. Farmers angry about rising costs, European Union environmental policies, and cheap food imports continue their protests in France, Belgium, and Italy on Tuesday. Daniel Rao tells us more.
Farmers parked tractors across highways near Paris on Tuesday, the second day of blockades, as they continue to lobby the government for help to make a living from their work and for measures against cheap imports. French farmers assert that higher prices for fertilizer, energy and other inputs for growing crops and feeding livestock have eaten into their incomes. Protesters also argue France's massively subsidized farming sector is over-regulated and hurt by food imports from countries where agricultural producers face lower costs and fewer constraints. Meanwhile, French President Emmanuel Macron said he'll meet with European Commission Chief Ursula von der Leyen in Brussels on Thursday to discuss the farming crisis. Speaking during a visit to Sweden, Macron said there needs to be a European debate on the matter and that France has asked the EU for very concrete things for its farmers. Imports from Ukraine, on which the EU has waived quotas and duties since Russia's February 2022 invasion, and renewed negotiations to conclude a deal with the South American trading bloc Mercosur, have fanned farmers' discontent about unfair competition in sugar, grain and meat. Macron said France wants to have clear measures on imports from Ukraine. The French president stressed the EU's farm policy is the only way to keep European agriculture alive in a globalised economy. He said without common agricultural policy, the bloc's farmers wouldn't have revenue and many of them would not be able to survive. Elsewhere, Belgian farmers continue to block roads, including the main E19 motorway leading to Brussels. They said they would remain on the roads until the government meets their demands for better pay, fewer constraints and lower costs. There were similar scenes in Italy as farmers gathered for the third day in a row with their tractors at a motorway exit on the outskirts of Rome. The protests come ahead of European Parliament elections in June, in which right-wing parties, for whom farmers represent a growing constituency, are rapidly making gains. Danarel, TV News.
Former Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan and his wife were sentenced to 14 years in prison for corruption today. The court also disqualified Khan from holding any public office for 10 years. The sentence was handed out just a day after another special court convicted Khan of leaking state secrets and gave him a 10-year prison sentence. The sentences are concurrent. The latest conviction follows charges that Khan and his wife retained and sold state gifts when he was in power. The latest conviction and sentencing were Khan's third since 2022, when he was ousted from office. The conviction comes ahead of Pakistan's February 8th parliamentary elections. China and East Timor have recently elevated their bilateral relations to the level of comprehensive strategic partnership. In an interview with TVB News, East Timor Prime Minister Xanana Gusmao said he hopes his country's economy can be improved through engagement in the Belt and Road Initiative. Located near the equator, the Democratic Republic of Timor-Leste, or East Timor, was colonized by the Portuguese between the 17th and early 20th century. At the time, some convicts from another Portuguese colony, Macau, would be exiled to East Timor. East Timor was later occupied by Japan and Indonesia until 2002. That's when East Timor became an independent country under the leadership of Xanana Gusmao. The country's founding father, also its current prime minister, expressed his gratitude to Beijing.
We have to thank China. Even before the launch of the Belt and Road, our Ministry of Foreign Affairs was built by China. Our Ministry of Defense was built by China.
China-backed projects have ranged from major infrastructural endeavors, including container terminal Timor Bay Port, to community facilities, including this football pitch. China has established diplomatic ties with East Timor since the day its sovereignty was declared. The island joined the Belt and Road Initiative in 2017.
We are a country that imports everything. And the first thing is to produce what we can, at least to reduce the import of goods that we can do. The strategic framework only means that it is open to all areas that we will be in need. That is why will depend on what we need, we will ask China and they will help, like in agriculture, and it has a very big effect to help us in our program of pushing the economic development.
But East Timor's infrastructure still needs upgrading. Some roads remain rugged. With a global tender on the way to improve the country's road networks, Gusmao said they continue to welcome Chinese companies to invest.
We trust the Chinese companies because they can do things in a good way.
The observatory said the foggy and warm weather will remain until Friday. The public should expect a drop in temperature before the Lunar New Year. Heavy fog covered the city this morning. Buildings could be hardly seen. Weather authorities said a humid maritime airstream is affecting the coast of Guangdong. Visibility in the harbor was below 5 kilometers in the afternoon. While the weather remained warm during the day today, residents should expect chilly days next week. Temperatures may fall to 11 degrees Celsius on Lunar New Year's Eve. The city's first diagonal crossing trial was launched in Shatin, allowing pedestrians to legally walk diagonally to a corner by the center of the junction. The trial is taking place at the junction of Shakok Street and Yat-Tai Street. Workers could be seen painting new yellow marking stripes and fitting additional traffic signals. Residents said it saves them a lot of time. TVB News tested the new traffic measure and found that the diagonal crossing takes 8 seconds less than taking the traditional crossing option. Meanwhile, the diagonal crossing trial at the junction of Carnarvon Road and Granville Road in Tsim Sha Tsui is set to start in the middle of the year. And that's the news. Thank you for watching.